Across the planet, separated by oceans and millennia, two civilizations built structures that still resist explanation. Not ruins, not relics, but precision-made forms that seem to follow rules we don't fully understand. Today, we travel from the burning silence of the Egyptian desert to the dense jungles of Mesoamerica, from Giza to Chichen Itza, and we ask one question that refuses to go away. What lies behind the pyramids? Welcome to Nomad's Echoes, where forgotten stories, ancient traditions, and the hidden power of our planet come to light. Because what if the pyramids were never meant to be tombs? What if they weren't monuments to the dead, but messages left behind? Messages written in stone, light, shadow, and time. The pyramids of Egypt rise from the desert as if they've always been there. Not placed, not built, but revealed. Among them stands the Great Pyramid of Giza, aligned with a precision that still embarrasses modern engineering. Official history tells us it was a tomb, a monument to a pharaoh's afterlife. But the pyramid itself doesn't seem to agree. There are no inscriptions inside, no prayers, no stories carved into the walls. Instead, there is silence, geometry, narrow shafts pointing towards specific regions of the sky, and an alignment to true north so precise that even today we struggle to explain how it was achieved. Not magnetic north, true north, the kind you only get if you understand the Earth itself. And that raises the first crack in the official story. Because for a culture supposedly obsessed with death rituals, this structure feels strangely technical. Then there's the scale. Over 2 million stone blocks, some weighing more than elephants, quarried, transported, lifted, and placed with millimetric accuracy. All of this to house a single body? That explanation feels smaller than the structure itself. And when researchers began mapping the layout of the pyramids from above, something else emerged. The three main pyramids of Giza mirror the three stars of Orion's belt, a constellation linked in Egyptian mythology to Osiris, god of death and rebirth. But it's not just the pattern, it's the proportion, the relative brightness, the placement. As above, so below. A phrase that appears again and again in ancient traditions. As if someone wanted Earth to reflect the sky, almost as if the pyramids were not meant to be seen only from the ground. And then there is what the pyramids are made of. Granite rich in quartz, stone that responds to pressure and vibration. Materials that, under the right conditions, can interact with energy. Modern experiments have shown that the Great Pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy within its chambers, which leads to a dangerous question. What if the pyramid wasn't just symbolic, but functional? Not a tomb, not a temple, but a structure designed to do something. We don't know what, and maybe that's the point. Now shift the scene. The desert dissolves into jungle. Stone gives way to green. And rising from the Yucatan Peninsula stands El Castillo, temple of Kukulcan, the pyramid of Chichen Itza. Smaller than Giza, but no less precise. At first glance, it looks like a stepped pyramid built for ritual. But twice a year, during the equinoxes, the pyramid reveals its real nature. As the sun sets, shadows crawl down the staircase, forming the body of a massive serpent descending from the sky. Kukulcan, the feathered serpent god. This effect lasts only minutes. It happens only on those exact days, and it cannot be accidental. To design this, the Maya needed to understand solar cycles with extraordinary accuracy. They needed to predict the movement of the sun centuries in advance, and they needed to translate that knowledge into stone. Light becomes motion. Architecture becomes time. Because El Castillo is not just a pyramid, it's a calendar, 4 staircases, 91 steps each. Add the top platform, 365, time carved into geometry. And once you see that, you realize something else. The Maya were not just measuring time, they were containing it. Then there's the sound. Clap your hands at the base of the pyramid, and the echo doesn't return as noise. It returns as the chirp of the sacred Quetzal bird. Stone that shapes sound, light that becomes movement, a structure that reacts, and once again the same question starts to form. Where did the stones really come from? Let's start with Egypt. The Great Pyramid of Giza is built from approximately 2.3 million stone blocks. The average block weighs around 2.5 tons, but some, especially the granite blocks inside the inner chambers, exceed 50 tons. The main limestone came from nearby quarries, yes, but the granite, the hardest material used in the pyramid, came from Aswan in southern Egypt. That's roughly 900 kilometers away, following the course of the Nile. 900 kilometers. The official explanation says these stones were transported by river on wooden boats, using the seasonal floods of the Nile. So let's do the math. Assume a best case scenario. Assume everything works perfectly. A single boat carries a single massive granite block. Each round trip, loading, transport, unloading, takes weeks, possibly months, depending on river conditions. If only 1,000 blocks came from Aswan, and the real number was likely higher, that alone would imply centuries of continuous transport just for this material. And this is before construction even begins, before alignment, before ramps, before placing each block with near perfect precision. Even with extremely conservative estimates, moving all these stones would have required decades of sustained effort, long before the pyramid we see today could even begin to rise. Now let's change continents. At Chichen Itza, El Castillo appears more modest in size, but the logistical problem is different. The limestone blocks came from local quarries, but not always close ones. Some sources were several kilometers away from the ceremonial center. Each block could weigh between 1 and 5 tons. There were no large pack animals, no practical wheels in dense jungle terrain, no navigable rivers leading directly to the site. Everything was moved by human force alone, millions of kilograms of stone, under tropical heat, through dense jungle, using stone tools. Even here, with extremely cautious estimates, the transport alone would have taken decades. And that leaves us with a different kind of question. Not whether it is possible, but whether it was really done the way we think it was. Whether the methods we imagine today tell the whole story, and whether the people we credit with building these pyramids were truly working alone. Today we walk among them, take photos, assign labels, but the pyramids remain silent. They don't give answers, They leave questions about time, about knowledge, about how much of our past is missing. And maybe that's the real mystery behind the pyramids. Not what they are, but what humanity once knew and lost. Nomad's echoes. Because some structures are not ruins, they are reminders.